that. Okay, present is here, right? Okay.
So shared through Google Drive, it should be, you should be able to.
Yeah. Okay.
Paranjoy, for initial introduction, I'll just keep you on the mute. Is it okay?
No problem at all.
Okay. Hey, good morning, America. Good evening, India. This is Sean Shankaran. Today we are here with a very interesting topic. Why only Adani is safe in India? We have the man Paranjoy Guha Takurta, who has written Adani Files, who has been talking about this for quite long time. And today, 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 kind of he is going to walk us through. And we have our beloved friend Mahmood Pracha, Advocate Supreme Court, Mission Save Constitution. He is also going to talk about a case he has filed with CBI, and
We lost your voice, Sean.
Sean, we can't hear you. We've lost you. We've lost your voice, your audio.
Paranjoy, are you able to speak? Sadiq, are you able
Yes,
to
I'm
speak?
able.
Paranjoy,
Yes,
we are
now
not
I'm
able to hear
hear
you.
you. Are you able to hear me now? Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
I can
can, I
hear.
can hear.
All right, excellent.
Thank you.
If you close your other machine,
Yes.
you won't get this echo.
If you're not speaking, you can mute. Then that will be good, I think. Then.
All right, sure. I'm with you. I'm with you, Shan. And since we are live, let me also tell you, Adani Files is a microsite on my website, paranjoy.in. I'm the publisher of that. I'm the publisher of that microsite and that website. It's called the Adani Files.in, or maybe it's called .com. I don't remember. People should go to paranjoy.in and get to that microsite. But please continue. Oh, same problem. We can't hear Shan.
No, he's on mute. He's on mute. He's talking to somebody
Okay.
else.
You were able to hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Mahmood Pracha, you are able to hear me.
Sean, you are on mute.
You can start, Sadiq. You can start, and then you can hand over the mic to Paranjoy, please. You can share your screen and start. Are you in a position to share?
Yeah, let me share.
Okay.
Can you guys see? Can you guys see?
Not yet.
I can hear.
No, not yet, Sadiq. You need to say present and then share that slide.
Oh, I think it's saying the browser has blocked the screen sharing. Let me just allow that.
Maybe you should start the program all over again. So we've been live for about 4 minutes.
Sadiq, are you able to
Priyamvada
hear?
is shown.
Yes, I can hear. I can hear. But yeah, okay. Can you see?
Not yet. So you. Okay, usually it will show up as. Oh, okay. Give me a minute. Okay, now I can add. Okay, just share that slide thing. Yeah, we can see.
You can see? Okay.
Can you go on a presentation mode?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you see?
Yes, sir. Please.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can all see now.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So I just want to start with that high level, like what's happened. Like first thing is like the US SEC now they have come up with the charges. They have filed charges against Adani, Gautam Adani himself, and his nephew Sagar Adani, and also like a few of the executives. So the main charge is like they have betrayed US investors basically, and they bribed the Indian government officials or the state government officials to sell their green energy. That was the charge, main charge. Why US SEC is doing it is because Adani Green they have issued bond to US investors, and the other company Azure Power that is also was listed in US stock exchange at the time when this was happening. And so the charges were filed against Adani and Sagar Adani, and also like there is a Canadian pension fund CDPQ that was a big investor in Azure Power. So the pension fund of Canada, whose Indian executives they were all like invested heavily in Azure Power, and so they all collaborated to bribe the Indian government officials to sell their product. Basically, that was basically the complaint, and the main reason is that the US Foreign Corrupt Practices Act prohibits from making payments to foreign government officials. And so one is they violated this law and then they did not disclose this to the investors, basically. That was the main charge. So what they're saying was the bribe was paid between like 2020 to 2024 during those 4 years. And when this was happening, the Azure Power was trading in the New York Stock Exchange. And so this investigation started at around March 2023. And another main reason for charging the CDPQ executives were they did not cooperate and instead they tried to hide and then maybe divert the investigation. So the obstruction of justice, some similar to that, that charges were also filed against those CDPQ executives. And later on, at November of 2023, the Azure Power was delisted from New York Stock Exchange for failing to disclose the some paper was failing to file reports, proper reports were not filed. So what this charge sheet sheds is Adani and his companies went backdoor and paid to the government officials, and the government officials, the state governments were also given the name Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jammu and Kashmir, and Orissa. And all these governments, these are all different governments run by different parties. So it looks like they're all in the pocketbook of Adani. So one is like Tamil Nadu government is run by Stalin, Andhra Pradesh at that time by YSR, and Chhattisgarh was under Congress rule. JNK was under a governor's rule, which was directly BJP, and Orissa was under BJD. So all these different parties run state governments. Officials, they were bribed by Adani, and they asked them to sign up to buy the product for SECI from the SECI. That is basically the central government's distribution channel. So initially, when the Adani was selling power to SECI, when SECI went to all these state units, so state discoms to sell this power, they all rejected that, saying the price was too high. And after that, Adani has to personally intervene, and that is when these allegations, and then that is when these bribes transfer happened. And after that, they went into agreement with SECI to get the power. That is what is the claim of the US SEC. So yes, so this is this in a nutshell is the charge of the overall scenario. But we want to see how much of this is real, or there is a lot of things about why Adani, because Adani is not just a normal businessman or anything like that. He is one of the world's richest man, and also like one of the top India's second richest man, or maybe even first or second, depending on which day you see their stock exchange values going up or down. So attacking Adani seems to be does it look like a genuine legal action, or does it have any political background to it? So there is also people are talking about the geopolitical angle, which we saw with the rise of India. India is playing both the games as being a member of Quad, being in the Western Alliance, and also India is being a active member of BRICS. and is pursuing as an independent foreign policy and not falling in line with the Western interest or US interest, as they put it. We saw that recently there was a regime change in Bangladesh, and Bangladesh, as we know, was the only friendly government to the Modi government in the region. If you see Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, a lot of these companies are not that friendly. And Bangladesh, the Sheikh Hasina regime was the only regime in the region which was very friendly to the Modi, and we saw a regime change there. And then also the Bangladesh, once that happened, the new government set in, they stopped paying the Adanis the due for their energy. And then now the SEC has filed charges on Adani. And we saw from November, in the beginning of the November itself, Adani stopped the supply to Bangladesh slowly and just started increasing it. And 2 days back, FT reported that they have continued the stop the supply fully. So all these things are happening in this background. We also need to see how serious your SEC and what is the SEC's track record. SEC is primarily taking care of US investors, and that is their motive is to make sure that there's a fair play in the market. There is no bribery, all those things are going on. And SEC time and again they prosecute a lot of people. We can see Madoff was a big case which they prosecuted, and Rajaratnam. And very often we can see there's a lot of times even the US banks, they run into issues and then they have to pay fine, and then mostly they settle the case with fines. And we can see the Bank of America, we can see a lot of, if you go through the things, you can see they do enforce these mechanisms for whatever the fraud that happens. And most of the time they end up paying fine, and they do not go to jail or anything like that. So even the SEC also has biggest failure. We saw the Enron, which failed dramatically, and the global financial crisis happened on their SEC's watch, which they missed totally. And we know all the frauds that happened during the crisis, where people were selling junk bonds with a AAA rating, and not a single executive went to jail for all these things. So SEC had a mixed track record in these cases. So it can be seen as a it's politically motivated or legally. It has a track record, and depending on the scenario or depending on which stance you take, you can interpret however you want. And we also saw how this mechanism works in the USA. Is we recently saw during the Biden administration, a lot of Federal Reserve governors were forced to resign because of corruption or conflict of interest. All these things happened. The way typically they works is the media leaks out some stories and then people resign or they settle up with fine. So different scenarios happen in SEC prosecution. One is jailing or filing or compromise being stuck. All those things are possible in Adani cases. And given all the political background and the importance of India in this whole current geopolitical scenario, we need to look at all these things, and then we have to see how this evolves, the Adani era evolves going forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Sadiq. That was a very good introduction. Sam, without much ado, I'll invite you to give a quick introduction. We have our good friends Paranjoy and Mehmood Prachap along with me. So maybe Sam, you are on mute. You can unmute yourself and you can. We have 246 viewers as we speak. So I think we get more than 1,000 viewers. I think this is a very topic of international interest. Go ahead, Sam.
Thank you. My apology for being late. I want to welcome our speakers here. Both are very well known and both are friends. Prananjay Guha, I've known him for many, many years, and same with Pracha. Welcome to this group. We meet every Saturday for almost a year, and we take a topic and talk about it. And we get people like you to sort of get deeper into it, help us explain. I was shocked when I first heard of the news through US government website that SEC is concerned and filed a case against Adani. I don't know the details, though I read the document, understand from the public information. but it's hard to understand the legality. Maybe people like Pracha can shed more light on it. But my main concern has been that if this is true, this is a systematic way of taking money away from poor people and putting it in the pockets of super rich. Ultimately, the high price that he gets has to be paid by people. And this increases income inequality further. We are all concerned about income inequality everywhere, where rich get richer and poor get poorer. And this would be a classical example of how government and business connive together to shift income from poor to rich, where the overall policy and goals is to really move income from super rich, urban, to rural and poor. To me, this is an important issue that gets lost in this whole conversation. If you read the document on the website of the US government, there are a lot of details. There is also a case document where case is filed, and it has fair amount of substance. Forget about the motive of the uh, case and all, but the details are alarming. That you give $250 million bribe. The first question I have is, who took the bribe? Some person must have, or some institution must have. What did they do with that money? Where did it go? That question is as important as who gave the bribe. And all the legalities they go with it in terms of investors were cheated and lied and all that stuff. So I'm more focused on poor people's money shifting to super rich and who got the bribe. If all of this is true, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot more to come. I'm sure before filing case, SEC and the government has a lot more information that they are holding. They will declare it at the right time, I'm sure, like they do every time. They don't need to really spill the beans now. And a lot of this will come out, and this is going to be an interesting case to watch and see what happens. With this, I want to listen to our guests and then open up for a broader conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Without much ado, I'll hand over the mic to Paranjoy, who's our key invitee for here today to talk about this. Please go ahead, Paranjoy. Paranjoy, you are on mute, Paranjoy.
Thank you,
Yes, sir.
Shan. Thank you, Shan Sankaran. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sadiq. Mahmood Pracha, Wada. Thank you to all of you. You will please excuse the ambient noise. I'm in a very, very noisy place. I never anticipated it would be like this, but I'll do my best to speak above the noise in the background. Before I proceed, let me make a few observations, uh, rather factual in nature, just to add to what has already been said. You know, Shan and Sadiq, Adani Files is a microsite that has been published by me, and you can get all the details by visiting www.paranjoy.in. Thank you so much for putting this together. And just by way of an introduction, I'm a journalist with 47 years of work experience, and I happen to be at this particular juncture the only citizen of India against whom Mr. Gautam Adani's lawyers have filed 6 cases of defamation that are pending in different courts of law 5 of them are in Gujarat and one in Rajasthan. Be that as it may, I also happen to be the only journalist who was named in the first Hindenburg research report that came out in January 2023. Let me make a few factual observations before I come to this specific point. Sadiq, you talked about the geopolitical angle and what's happening in Bangladesh and this big fight. The apex court of Bangladesh has called for the appointment of a committee to decide whether they should continue with that contract, which was signed by Sheikh Hasina, who is now a fugitive somewhere in the national capital region of Delhi. She's there. She's absconding from her own country. But this was a very, very controversial deal, and I can hold forth in some detail about it. But the short point is, we don't know whether the deal will go through. But this is not the only deal involving Adani, which is not only in court, but very, very controversial and has political and geopolitical implications. The other one is in Sri Lanka. The new regime of Sri Lanka, headed by President Visanayak, they want to scrap a deal completely with that was signed by the previous regime, by Gotabaya Rajapaksa, when he was the president. That's not all. In Kenya, the president of Kenya, William Ruto, to much applause, has scrapped an airport modernization deal and another deal involving Adani, the Adani Group, and he's become suddenly his popularity has gone up. So let me just make one small point by way of a clarification with what Sam said. Yes, Gautam Adani, who nobody knew 30 years ago, is today not just one of the richest men in India and Asia, but one of the richest men in the world. Where I just want to make a slightly nuanced point, the rich getting richer and the poor being where they are, or sometimes getting worse off. It's economists like Thomas Piketty and others who've said inequality in India is today wider than what it was when the British were ruling India more than 80 years back. Now, you see, I would put it differently, that it's not the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, but the gap between the rich and the poor has widened like perhaps never before. And India has become the most unequal country in the world. And Mr. Gautam Adani, he epitomizes this because he's an oligarch. It's better to to talk about Modi and Adani. There's always been a nexus between big business and politics, but never before has one particular business person, one industrialist, been so close in terms of his proximity with the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi. And this goes back several decades to the time that Mr. Modi was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. Now, let me come to the point that Sam just made. Who took the bribe? This 250 million US dollars, which has been alleged. And remember, I just want to make one more clarification that, the Hindenburg research report, which came out in January 2023, I happen to be the only Indian journalist who was named in that report, but this is much, much bigger than the Hindenburg research report. Why? It involves at least three agencies of the government of the United States of America. It's not just the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. It also involves the Department of Justice. And the Department of Justice has based its indictment document on investigations done by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. So this is really big. And so what is now happening is that we don't know what will happen when Donald Trump becomes the president of the United States of America on the 20th of January. What happens when there's a change of guard at the SEC, at the FBI, at the DOJ? We don't know that. I don't want to speculate what will happen, but let's deal with what is happening now. Now, if you go through the SEC's own documents, in the indictment document, there is a mention of official number 1. And if you go through carefully the papers and the submissions to the SEC, official number 1 happens to be the former chief minister of the state of Andhra Pradesh in southern India, and he was Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy. Now, Mr. Jagan Mohan Reddy's political party has denied this. He's completely denied it. But that is where the needle of suspicion is pointing. Now, he's saying we only dealt with the public sector, the federal body, the public sector, central public sector undertaking called the SECI, the Solar Energy Corporation of India. Now, what happened is the Solar Energy Corporation of India gave two tenders, one to Mr. Adani's company and the other to another company called Azure Power, where also whistleblowers, internal whistleblowers have provided information which is pretty damning to the Department of Justice. Now, what was happening is that this power, this solar energy that was being generated, the Solar Energy Corporation of India wasn't able to find buyers. So then it starts going, it gets Adani and Azure to go to the state governments to enter into power purchase agreements. And these were signed in December 2023 with the provincial governments of Andhra Pradesh that was headed by Jagan Mohan Reddy at that time. And incidentally, he was aligned at that time with the Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP, and the NDA, the National Democratic Alliance. Later, they parted ways. At that point of time, in Chhattisgarh, the chief minister was Bhupesh Baghel, and he belonged to the Congress party. And Tamil Nadu was headed by Mr. Stalin of the DMK party, the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam party. And Orissa, at that point of time, the chief minister was Naveen Patnaik. Now, we see these were all non-BJP parties. But interestingly, the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, which coming under central rule and headed by a nominee of the BJP, he was very much in power. So we have a very, very unusual and a mixed bag. And all these people are saying, we dealt only with the government of our organization. So just that it's important to find out who took the bribes, we also have to find out who in the government of India, and specifically the Solar Energy Corporation of India. By the way, they've also provided a denial saying, we played by the rules and so on and so forth. That investigation has to go deeper. The question everybody's asking is, all this investigation happened in the United States. What is India doing about it? If the rules have been violated of the SEC, what about our own SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India, headed by Mrs. Madhabi Puri Buch? Why is she silent? If there's been concealment of information in the US, what about India? That's the big question. Now, since this came out Wednesday evening US time and very early in the morning on Thursday, at about 3 a.m. in the morning on Thursday, it's hogged headlines across the globe. But by now, you're seeing all the denials and the clarifications are coming. And what is the Adani Group claiming? No, they're saying, we haven't done anything wrong. We are above board. And what they're saying is solar energy is a small part of their business conglomerate. And in very, very subtle ways, they are trying to ring fence the company. Adani Energy, Green Energy, is a small part of the Adani conglomerate. But let's move on. Now they're saying it's the individuals. Who are these individuals? Mr. Gautam Adani, his own nephew, Sagar Adani, another associate of his, whose name is Vineet Jain. And there are 4 other people, including 3 persons who seem to be of Indian origin, associated with the Canadian pension fund, and yet another person. Now, all of this is what? In March 2024, this company of Adani's, or this group of companies by Adani, they raised funds, about $409 million from the market, but they did not inform either the US investors or Indian investors that the FBI had already searched and seized Mr. Sagar Adani's phone on the 17th of March 2023. So about a year and a half has passed. Now, are you trying to say you didn't know what was going on? Even the warrant of arrest was put out in late October, but it was only disclosed to the public on Wednesday afternoon. Now, all of these, in my opinion, are trying to ways in which they're trying to deflect attention from something which is very, very serious. You are raising money from the public, US investors, Indian investors, but you're not disclosing material information that you are under investigation. That the FBI has seized one of your associates, his mobile phones, his laptop. And if you go through that document, they tell you how Mr. Gautam Adani was taking pictures of the document, which was the search warrant and the subpoena document. Now, I want to make one of few other points, and what is that? When Hindenburg Research, the New York-based short-selling firm, came out with its report in January 2023, Mr. Adani's spokesperson said, "We are going to sue them. We are going to sue them. We are going to sue them in New York." Nothing happened. Nothing's happened for 22 months. But now, I don't think Mr. Adani or his lawyers will can hope to get out of the. I mean, they have to represent themselves in the U.S. court, either in person or in law. I mean, look, Mr. Trump had to appear before court. Is that not correct? Please correct me if I'm wrong, Sam and Shad and Sadiq and Priyamvada. You know America better than I do. I mean, when Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, was accused of certain misdemeanors, all of them had to appear in court. The question now is, will Mr. Gautam Adani appear in court? How has this arrest warrant been served? Is it through the government of India, the Ministry of External Affairs? Is it through Interpol? These are questions where I'm not a legal expert. I don't know. But all I know, it's had a huge impact on India. Banks are going to be wary of giving more money to Mr. Adani's group of companies. Why? Obvious reasons. Now, if the stock markets have gone up, have the stock markets have been boosted by public sector organizations like the State Bank of India, like the Life Insurance Corporation? Has Mr. Sagar, he's been served what we call a grand jury subpoena. Now, what does that mean? He has to appear in court. And this was served to him. We don't know whether he has appeared or not. We don't know the details. There's a lot. The story is hardly over. And what we now need to know, as Sam rightly pointed out, who are the recipients of this money, of the slush money? And how was the entire, how were these corrupt practices done? A lot of people in India are saying, what is this Foreign Corrupt Practices Act of 1977 in the US? And I mean, my understanding of that law is that anybody can be bribed in any part of the world. If it affects a single US citizen, it comes under the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. And it's not that you have to prove that a bribe was paid. Even if there's a conspiracy to pay the bribe, even if you promise to pay a bribe, apparently there's a Excel sheet where which was seized by the FBI, and where Mr. Sagar Adani, it has been shown that you're going to pay so much money to ABCD, and only one name we know, former Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, but there are several other names there. We don't know the details, and I'm sure, as has been pointed out earlier, I'm sure there's much more up the sleeve of the FBI and the DOJ and the SEC, and we'll have to wait and watch what happens. I think it's going to have an impact, not only a political impact on India, because politicians across the board, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, the leader of the opposition, on Thursday morning itself, he said he should be arrested. If a chief minister of Jharkhand, Mr. Hemant Soren, can be arrested, who is Mr. Adani that he cannot be arrested? We don't know how things will react. We also don't know how the SEBI chief, Madhavi Puri Butch, she's under attack for protecting Adani. How she's going to react, because the same set of rules apply to India. If rules have been violated in the US, then certainly the same set of rules have been violated here in India. So we have to wait and watch what happens in the coming days and the coming weeks and the coming months. And I've sort of given a broad overview. I'll be happy, if somebody wants to ask me some detailed questions, I can try my best to answer them. But thank you so much, all of you, for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Paranjoy. We'll just go around the table, and we'll have Mahmood Prasad give a kind of a quick overview. What is his thoughts? Mahmood, you are on mute. Mahmood, you are on mute. Okay, you can speak now. Can you try speak? Sorry,
Yes.
can you speak?
Am I
Yeah, we
audible?
can hear you. Yeah, you can. You are audible.
Yeah.
But Mahmood, just
Thank
give a
you and
minute.
good evening, everyone.
Sam, do you have any commentary on Paranjoy? Sam, do you have any commentary on Paranjoy? You are on mute, Sam.
Let's
Sam,
move on.
okay, sure, Sam. Okay, go ahead, Mahmood, please.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much. I will be very, very brief. I would just pick up from where Thakurda Sahab has left. He has pretty much described the kind of offences which have been committed by Adani Group in US. But there is another aspect to it, and for which we have already. Actually, I was waiting for the opposition parties to register a criminal case. I waited for 48 hours, but when that did not happen, I had to do it myself, because uh, this will preempt actually the strategy which I would come to just now, which the functionaries of Indian government, including Mr. Narendra Modi, Amit Shah, and all these people, uh, the strategy which they will be using to save Adani, and in the process put India's interest on the line. So to preempt that, I had to rush and file a complaint to the Indian law enforcing agency, that is CBI. Now CBI has been created in India to do just this work, that is to catch the corruption undertaken by government officials as well as public servants. This is the reason for creation of CBI. Therefore, we approached the CBI. Now, to ask them to register an FIR, and the reason for registration of an FIR is that offences and proof of offences, substantial proof of offences, is already there in public domain in this grand jury indictment of Mr. Adani and various other of his business functionaries, as well as SECI, as Thakurda Saab was telling us, which includes the government of India as well as state governments, including elected leaders like Chief Minister, Council of Ministers, which have been named in this indictment. So that being the case, so now we have a substantial evidence which has been collected for the purposes of US case. However, there is a procedure which is a sufficiently robust procedure, and they have actually formulated a grand jury consisting of common citizens who by majority have actually tested the evidence which was collected by the FBI. So there was a kind of watchdog, and that's the procedure of law and procedure of collection of evidence and presentation of the case for trial in US, which is on a slightly more, rather a lot more robust way of collecting and testing evidence at the initial stage. Because here in India, the evidence is collected just by the investigating agency, and that is converted into or collated into a charge sheet, which is presented before the court. But here, a kind of watchdog agency in the form of a neutral watchdog agency in the form of grand jury was also there. So this is the reason for us to say to the CBI that there is a substantial sufficient robust evidence which has been collected by a very, very robust and transparent procedure, which is though secretive, but quite following the principles of natural justice. A neutral agency is there to oversee the collection of evidence by a premium investigating agency of US, that is FBI. So based on that, there have been substantial evidences described in that indictment which clearly disclose various offenses which have been committed in India, which fall squarely within the purview of CBI. So that has been the basis, and I think this is a quite substantive and very, very tightly worded complaint. CBI will find it very difficult to wriggle out of this, because any offense, any complaint which discloses cognizable offense, they have to register a first information report, and in CBI's terms, the RC, which they call regular case. So, but the reason for filing this is also this, because I can foresee the strategy, and I will not like to disclose all our future strategic moves here, because that will wisen them. But broadly, which can come in public domain, is that I envisage to save Adani, Modi ji and his government are going to place India's interest at the beck and call of American government, and there is a procedure of although these offenses are federal offenses, kind of serious offenses, and punishments are running up to 20 years. But 20 years is not the maximum punishment, because these are male offenses. If there are about 10 investors, just to give a legal perspective, if there are number of offenses which have been reported in US, so for every offense there will be a punishment of 20 years, which will run into hundreds of years. That's the procedure there. So these that is the so what I perceive, that India and US have various treaties, including an MLAT, for exchange of evidence, for collection of evidence in each other's country. That is mutual legal assistance treaty is there, and there are various international treaties of extradition of offenders of India and America. There are various treaties also. So America will ask for extradition of Adani and all these offenders to US to face the trial, and also they can ask Indian government under MLAT to collect evidence or allow FBI to collect evidence here. That's the position of law. Now, to control and save Adani, what I can perceive their strategy would be, Modi ji's strategy would be, and his legal team's strategy would be to register a case against Mr. Adani here and delay that case, because that prevents or obstructs the extradition, because they can come out with the excuse that there is a case running here, and therefore we will not be able to send him till the time he faces this trial here. So that is one excuse which they are, and this, our complaint is going to actually give us this opportunity to be a part of that, so that we can ask for a quick trial there, and this obstruction is actually removable at our end also. That was one. Two, we are afraid that there will be a plea bargaining, both official and unofficial. I'm sorry to use this unofficial thing also. Unofficial will not be visible in public domain, although indirectly it would be, like the recent case of Qatar, where India had to enter into an agreement which is quite disadvantageous to India's interest, in exchange of release of 9 of our Navy personnel, ex-Navy personnel who were arrested for espionage in Qatar. So that kind of arrangement will not be so visible, but there is a plea bargain provision in US also. So we are anticipating that. But here, with this complaint, I think this is going to open a Pandora box. And the primary proof of that is available, and solid proof of that is available through this indictment of the grand jury. That is the first stage, and I think Once again, coming back to my topic, which I repeat everywhere, that all this power to undertake such kind of blatant offenses across the world emanate from the fact that Modi and RSS and BJP, they are confident of winning elections without getting people's vote, and that boils down to, once again, that the voting fraud through the machines, and today we are seeing Maharashtra's results, is the key to every offense, every illegality, every atrocity which this present government is actually getting the capacity for. So we have to attack or strike at the root of the problem and not just at the branches. That would be, once that fear is there that there will be a government elected through people's vote which will take strong action against their activities. What is not also visible, which we will be able to highlight, which will assist the US trial also, is it is not just the state government, it is basically the SEC, which was playing which is the central government ministry, under central government ministry, which was playing a pivotal role and actually helping Adani coerce these state governments also, which of course was made sweet by the bribe which has been offered. And also there is a description of amounts also, 2200 crores as bribes and about 17,000 crores as the entire gamut, prima facie gamut of all this illegal deal which has happened, which has been described again in that indictment. So it will actually help this trial also, our investigation here. So the strategy which we are going to use is, I'm sure CBI is not going to register a case that easily. So on Monday, probably I'll go and hand a physical copy to the CBI office, and then 2 days later, we are going to file a case for registration and a court-monitored investigation. By the term of caged parrot for the CBI, for that reason, we will ask for a court-monitored investigation in which we also hope to play an important role by supplying the line of investigation, by suggesting line of investigation, and also supplying various evidences which we will procure at our end, so that the investigation is done in a proper manner. That's my opening remark, and I will be happy to answer any questions if any of your viewers or you, the August panel today, has for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mahmood Prachap. So, Sam, you want to talk? Yeah, go ahead, Paranjay, please.
May I make two
Please.
very brief observations based on what Advocate Mahmood Pracha has said. The first thing is that, Maharashtra elections, the results have come out, and the incumbent regime, the Mahayuti regime, which is the Bharatiya Janata Party, the Shiv Sena section headed by Mr. Eknath Shinde, and the Nationalist Congress Party headed by Mr. Ajit Pawar, that coalition has won with a very convincing margin. I'm not getting into the whole issue of electronic voting machines, etc., but I just wonder what would have happened if the decision of the Department of Justice and the Securities and Exchange Commission was given before the people of Maharashtra voted. I mean, this is just idle speculation, maybe, because the voting has already taken place, the results have been announced. But I just wonder what would have happened if this had come out. In talking about timing, just the point I mentioned earlier, what will happen after the 20th of January when Donald Trump becomes the president of the US, we can only speculate upon. And I just thought, since it gets all very confusing, all these acronyms, there is the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is the regulator of the financial markets and the share markets and the capital markets in the United States of America. And there is a SECI in India, that is the Solar Energy Corporation of India, which is a central public sector undertaking. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Sure, Paranjay. There are interesting comments from LinkedIn. Samir Mahongavankar is asking, shouldn't Adani have been given an opportunity to present his case before an arrest warrant was issued for him? It all seems one-sided. What are your thoughts, Paranjoy, Mahmood, or even Sam?
Okay, my view is that a subpoena has apparently been served, a grand jury subpoena. What does that mean? I mean, in India, that indictment document in India, correct me, Mr. Mahmood Pracha, if I'm wrong, is like a charge sheet. Like, you can make a statement before a police officer, like a FBI agent, but then you have to, the magistrate or the court of law will consider that as evidence or important evidence only thereafter. Now, we don't know whether Mr. Sagar Adani has appeared before a court of law. So this is a question. Maybe Mr. Mahmood Pracha, you can throw some more light on the subject.
Although, yes, thank you very much, and it's a good question. And if the viewer had actually heard me, my opening remarks, the answer was inside that. So it is not totally a one-sided proceedings, not a proceeding which is in absentia. There is a reasonably well-oiled uh, counterbalancing organization or a supervisory organization which is in the form of grand jury for collection of evidence. So it was supervising, a neutral body was supervising the collection of evidence. In India, the situation is different. Police collects evidence one-sidedly. I mean, courts do not have that. In India, we don't have that procedure of supervising the collection of evidence part. So there is a reasonably balanced approach which is there even at the stage of collection of evidence. So more than 20 people which were randomly selected, and it's a robust process, transparent procedure, who were there, who were overseeing collection of evidence with all kind of checks and balances by the FBI. So that's the answer to. So it's not an unfair procedure. And now there will be a trial. Is to come there, pray for bail, and then the actual trials. So it's a very it's better than the procedure which we follow here in India for the stage of collection of evidence. Thank you very much.
So, like, we don't have like
Sean,
the
can I-
names of the people who received the bribes. So, how likely the CBI is going to take your case when we don't have the names of the fully involved parties? That's one thing. And also, looks like the different state
Sadiq,
governments are all belonging to
Sadiq,
different
Sadiq,
parties.
looks like Paranjoy
no,
wants to respond.
no,
Let's go.
Sadiq. The documents given to the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC in the US, it says that official number one, which is given in the indictment document, happens to be the then serving Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy. Though his party has denied it, that is one name we already have.
I
So, all
had
the other
also
names are
mentioned
hidden. All the other
that
names are
this
hidden for the trial purposes for now. Is that correct, or?
no that I in para 20 they have named Chief Minister, Council of Ministers, and the governing bodies, officers of Indian government. And for India's purpose, the collection of actual names, although there is indirect reference by in para 20 only, is the job of the CBI. FIR is just a first information report based on which, if there are cognizable offenses which have been alleged, and I'm using this word very carefully, alleged in the complaint, RC has to be registered, and then when investigation is undertaken, then these names will unravel. But my firm understanding is that officials of SEBI and Reserve Bank of India will also get indicted in India's CBI inquiry as well as there, because these are the people who must have given those documents, certifications, which were used by Adani to apply for various and to deceive it various investors. So SBI and SEBI, sorry, not FBI, RBI, Reserve Bank of India, and SEBI will also be facing the music. That's my understanding.
If I may just add a point to what Mahmood Pracha said, in March 2024, Adani group of companies, they raised 409 million US dollars through a financial instrument which they called a senior secured note. Now, there was an oversubscription of this amount. Now, part of this amount is from the US. The rest of the money and the bulk of the money is from India. So that's really why the US has got into the picture.
Uh, Sean,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah. Give me
So
1 minute. 1 minute,
okay,
Priyamada.
yeah.
So there is a user from LinkedIn, Tamil Selvan, is saying even Boeing pays bribe to airline executives to get orders. I think USACC must submit all evidence it has. Without any strong evidence, this type of allegations may not bring good for US administration. Is his commentary. Any response, Paranjoy, Mahmood?
Firstly,
I
bribery is an offense here and there. So if it is murder is committed by everyone, it doesn't give you a right to commit a murder. That's the basic thing. But I think this grand jury collection of evidence, it is usually quite strong evidence, and that's why plea bargaining is I am actually worried about, because I don't think Adani is going to contest that, because there will be a short conviction there. So there will be a plea bargaining, and that's my fear. Therefore, we've been quite fast in getting this legal procedure started here.
We need to watch out whether Mr.
They have
Modi is
disclosed
going to buy
WhatsApp
a
messages or
bill.
text messages or evidence collection.
Sorry, Sadiq, your voice is cut. You are on
No,
mute.
no, they have disclosed documents like WhatsApp messages or electronic communications. That's what the evidence so far they have
Okay,
presented.
wait.
you know, Sadiq, in your PowerPoint presentation, you talked about this plea bargaining that is happening. People who pay money, and they said yes, we are guilty, but they are let off. They are not punished because they accept that they did something wrong and they pay a money. I mean, this is I've never been able to understand it too well because I'm not a lawyer, but it is I find this is another kind of a subtle bribery system. Mr.
Yeah, that is
Pracha,
the
would you
whole
like
thing,
to?
right? So not a
Yes,
single
sir.
executive went to jail for the global financial crisis, and that's been a bigger problem in the United
But
States.
that's how SEC makes money. SEC makes
Let me
money
try.
from these kinds
Let
of
me try to
settlements.
explain what plea bargaining is. Plea
Yeah.
bargaining is acceptance of guilt with a reduced punishment, both incarceration as well as financial. So the prosecution side, that is Department of Justice there, prosecution there will would rather want to avoid a prolonged trial and wastage of public money if they can reasonably secure conviction which satisfies the targeted objective. The cost benefit ratio actually, what will be just and equitable, saving the time, saving the effort, as well as procuring conviction.
Yeah, so the companies have mastered that also. They know now they can make billions like this and then pay $1 million fine and then get away with it. And they have mastered this art already. So where
Look
is
at
the
what all the
accountability?
banks do.
Only a jail
That's
term
true.
will be there is no
That's
deterrent
true.
basically.
But
There
look
is
at
no
what all the
deterrent
banks
basically.
do. All the banks do these kinds of things and ultimately pay $1 billion fine or $2 billion fine, but they make 10 billion out of it.
That's true.
So I think
Enforcement
there is a
action
larger
penalty.
issue that I'm really concerned
But I
about.
would I would I would I would say here that definitely affects the future endeavor. That would be the sunny side or the silver lining of this entire thing.
So go ahead,
You
Sean.
know,
You were saying something.
I wanted to add. I mean, there's a lot of speculation doing the rounds. So the question is, what is the responsibility of Adani Green Energy, which is a corporate entity, and its subsidiaries and other entities that are controlled? That's one. What is the culpability of the person who's the head of that organization, Mr. Gautam Adani, or his associates, including his nephew, Mr. Sagar Adani? So these are issues. Will there be an attempt? And I'm just speculating because there is Mrs. Madhavi Puri Boch, the chairperson of the Securities and Exchange Board of India. There's already been a show cause notice issued. And to respond to a question that was raised, I saw it briefly on the screen. The Indian media, one section of it is still reporting. Yes, it's been going on for 2 years. Yes, we know. I don't know for how long it has been going on, but all I know, it is actually a public information that Mr. Sagar Adani was searched by FBI agents on the 17th of March. 2023. So we surely know that for more than 1.5 years, this investigation has been on. It's probably started before that. How come we in India were not aware of it? Well, you follow the news carefully. Yes, journalists in India, people who were in the OCCRP, that's the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project. Journalists have been writing about it. Now, the BJP and the government has been saying, oh, this is George Soros's outfit, which is not correct because the OCCRP is funded by several people, including the American State Department, including government bodies in the UK and other places. But it's, and this has also been done, by the way, in this case as well, in the social media, you dismiss anything as George Soros. George Soros is the bad guy, and all of us, including yours truly, we are being funded by him. So this is the kind of misinformation that is doing the rounds.
So, Samar is one of our young friend in Indian Overseas Congress. He has asked, he is passing his kudos for organizing a erudite panel of scholars, journalists, activists. His question is, as a young scholar researching development, why is this narrative is being manipulated to show this as an assault on Indian sovereignty, rather than focus on the fact that such deceptive under-the-table operations are the actual assault on Indian sovereignty? If the sitting prime minister is on a tour of Caribbean nations, why there are no talks of allowing Indian regulators being kind of conniving with this? Please go ahead. Paranjo, you are on mute.
Okay.
Yeah.
This has been a standard technique.
Yeah.
You criticize Mr. Adani, you are anti-national. I am
Right.
anti-national.
Yeah.
मैं देशद्रोही हूँ. We are part of the tukde gang. Mr. Adani is conflated with Mr. Modi. Mr. Adani is conflated with the Bharatiya Janata Party, and Mr. Adani is conflated with the nation, the country as a whole of 140 crore people. When Hindenburg Research brought out its first report saying this, they are pulling off the biggest con in corporate history way back in January 2023, same story happened. The spokespersons of the Adani group, behind them, there would be the flag of India, the tricolor of India. It's as if you say anything against Mr. Adani and you are talking against India. This has been the standard technique. Even today, I ask, why is the Bharatiya Janata Party, as a political party, taking up cudgels on behalf of Mr. Adani?
Yeah.
Mr. Modi is silent, but why is the BJP acting as if it is the spokesperson of Mr. Adani? I can understand if Mr. Adani's own spokesperson issues a press notes, etc. But why are BJP spokesperson acting in this manner, Mr. Pracha?
Mr. Adani, according to me, is a classic example how a Indian businessman will never be. An Indian businessman would be an honest person, not a dishonest person. So anyone who is doing anything across the world against Mr. Adani is actually doing a favor to India as a country. That is how we should see this, and that is how or everybody is seeing it. But the only defense now this shows the strength of our argument that the only defense which BJP and RSS can think of is putting the country in front. They do not have any defense on the merits. They do not have anything to say regarding the activities, dishonest activities fraudulent activities of Mr. Adani. So this is actually a victory sign, as I see it. They have no explanation for his activities. They will never talk or discuss his activities. They will only say, and pardon me till I last remember, Modi ji is India, not Mr. Adani. Oh, not.
If I may add one comment, you know, there has always been a nexus between big business and politics all over the world, certainly in India, over several decades. You know, the father of India's nation, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, he, you should read what he had to say as to why he was staying in the home of Ghanshyam Das Birla, one of the richest men of India at that time. He was a nationalist businessman and he justified it. It was in his home where on the 30th of January, Mahatma Gandhi was shot dead by Nathuram Godse. There have been this nexus between business and politics, whether it be Tatas, whether it be Birlas, whether it be Ambanis. So what's new? So what's different? I would argue that we've moved some steps beyond crony capitalism, and this is a kind of oligarchy. So it's really Modani. There is no difference between Mr. Modi and Mr. Adani. They are the same. It's as if they are like twin brothers working to promote each other's interests. I've written about this in the website called Adani Watch. Mr. Modi has traveled the world, and everywhere he's gone, you find soon after his visit, or when visiting dignitaries come to India, Mr. Adani gets these contracts and sets up his own businesses. This has happened in Australia, in Nepal, in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka. This has happened in Greece. It's happened in Tanzania. It's happened in Kenya. It's happened in Israel. Adani operates the second biggest port in Israel. Adani is manufacturing armaments, including military drones, unmanned aerial vehicles. And those are currently being used to kill people in Palestine and in Lebanon, in Gaza. So, this is why Mr. Adani, in my opinion, is different from other business persons in the Indian context.
I would like to add a few words also. See, the basic thing which I feel is unprecedented and undefendable about Mr. Adani's business along with Mr. Modi is that nobody in the world sells, at least not in a robust and big country like ours, sells the country's interest to get a better deal for a particular businessman. That's the biggest the wrong which is being committed by Mr. Modi. He's selling India. You give Mr. Adani a benefit of $1, and vis-a-vis our mutual country business, we will give you the benefit of $100. That is what is hurting and destroying India's interest. That's the key to it. Mr. Modi is selling India and getting a small percentage in return for Mr. Adani, which is for Mr. Modi only. I mean, they are inseparable. Every penny which Mr. Adani owns is Mr. Modi's money, period.
Can say, if I may add, since I'm facing 6 cases of defamation with Mr. Adani's lawyers have instituted against me, let me tell you, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, sometime before he was jailed, he had a special session of the Delhi Assembly where you can see it on YouTube. He made a statement, but because he made it on the floor of the Delhi Assembly, that he can't be prosecuted for what he says inside the house. He said something to the effect that he had met a senior BJP leader, and the BJP leader had claimed, ये पैसा तो अडानी जी का नहीं है, ये रुपया तो अडानी जी का नहीं है, ये कंपनी तो अडानी जी का नहीं है, ये तो मोदी जी का है. He said it in so many words. I didn't say it. Mr. Arvind Kejriwal has gone on record saying this. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. So I have a very important question to Sam. Mehmood Richa mentioned during his commentary that all of these issues are happening because of some of our fundamental democracy institutions like election commission or election instruments like EVM is kind of already infiltrated with some spurious mechanisms. So we are hot kind of with the Maharashtra results now. Congratulations to Hemant Soren from JMM for Jharkhand victory and Priyanka Gandhi for Wayanad victory. But India Alliance lost Maharashtra, and there is a alleged EVM rigging which has happened because there was a huge dissent about this current BJP-led NDA alliance government. So despite that, they are winning in a magnanimous big way. So Sam, I want to hear your thoughts. How this, in fact, it was told they have rigged big time to get Mumbai back because Adani has a huge financial interest about getting Mumbai back because he's now getting into the real estate of Mumbai and whatnot, Dharavis. So, want to hear your thoughts. How this EVM, Adani, BJP, RSS, whole nexus is connected. Good, sir.
Well, I do agree with Pracha on the EVM issue. Based on my own understanding, research, and work, I am convinced that there is something very seriously wrong and manipulated when it comes to Indian elections. Whether it is EVM, voter list, inducing more votes at the end, controlling booth, whatever. I don't know the one particular reason, but the entire process is controlled in a manner you can decide who will win and who will lose. You don't have to win everything every time. You can allow somebody to win if the person is very famous. Don't fiddle with it. I started worrying about this when Smriti Irani won Amethi. I said there is no way in this world that a lady called Smriti Irani could come in the middle of the election and take away Amethi from Rajiv Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, and the work that has been done. And I've been there, I've seen the work being done, irrespective of what lies everybody else promotes, whether it is hospital or it is, relationship with people or, water dams. So much of work has been done in a place where isn't much, or was there not much. So I am convinced that elections are somehow rigged. How, what, I don't know. The Election Commission doesn't answer right questions. They are not responsive to the civil society demands. And I have seen the civil society reports published, and I've learned a lot from Devashayam and others. And I think people need to pay more attention to the work of the civil society. They are experts, they are independent, they have no political interest. Their interest is very simple. Are you counting the vote I'm casting? I don't see any problem in Election Commission saying, here is the receipt, and you can deposit that receipt in a box that is not connected, and we will count all the receipts. That will give me confidence and trust, which I don't have today. So that's one. Second, I see this machine as one machine. It is not RSS, it is not BJP, it is not Adani. It is one big machine, which is operating in sync. Money is generated, votes are generated, you remain in position of power, you capture institutions by putting your people, including vice chancellors who are not qualified, and you really promote your single agenda of building a nation based on religion. You got this chance after 100 years, so you do whatever you think you can do to get that done. And I admire their commitment, I admire their tenacity, and their ability to sort of do things that I would not do. Okay. So I don't see these as separate entities and separate interests. I see this as a one big machine operating in sync, and there are different parts of the machine. So discussing one part may divert your attention from the reality. But a larger question I have is for the state of democracy in the world. I'm concerned that the social media has essentially destroyed democracy in many different ways by promoting misinformation, lies, and creating a whole new generation that doesn't get into depth of anything. It operates on the surface. It's all sound bites, little message here, little message there, and create their opinion. My generation, and I'm too old, really went into depth and read and learned beside talking to friends and others before forming an opinion. Here, opinion is formed just based on what I see and hear on the screen. And social media has really hurt democracy in a big way. So you create a situation where Modi or Trump or others are seen as the highly intellectual heroes who can run a nation. And I worry about that. I'm very concerned about the state of democracy in the world. Everywhere it is a link between big business, politician, and these are all pygmies and petty fellows. You don't find the kind of leadership Nehru's generation had that I grew up with as a little boy, looking up to Gandhiji, looking up to Nehru and Patel and Subhash Chandra Bose and Maulana Azad and others in India. And similar people abroad as well. I came to America because Kennedy decided to send man onto the moon. And that was the romantic thing for a 22-year-old boy who said, hey, what a great leader who thinks of these kinds of wild ideas. I think that kind of leadership doesn't exist anymore. And I worry about that. World is in a mess. World is in a royal mess. Look at what is going on in Gaza. And nobody has guts to say, hey, wait a minute, this is almost genocide. Okay. To kill a few hundred people, you have killed several thousand innocent children and
It
women.
is genocide, Sam. It is genocide.
Yes, but how many people are willing to say that? If you say that, you are an enemy of the, rich and powerful. Okay. I mean, there is just no moral high ground anymore. Okay. You cannot operate on moral high ground. You can't talk about truth and trust and love and, democracy and diversity and inclusion. When you do that, people think you are naive. I know a lot of young people think I'm too idealist and I'm not practical. I can't survive in this world. They think I'm an idiot. I mean, I know lots of people who say, how come you didn't make billion? Where is Hopur with all your technical knowledge? Look at all your flunkies made billions. Okay. And when I say to them, no, making billions didn't interest me, then they think I'm a bigger fool. So that is the world we have created. In this world, as I have said 100 times, only power and profits are admired. People and planet issues don't get any attention. Nobody cares. Okay. I mean, in America, there is a saying, if you're smart, how come you're not rich? And that says it all. They think if you're rich, you got to be smart. Because you can, this is what business schools teach, how to extract value. They don't teach how to create value. You extract value. An Adani case that's in front of us for discussion is all about extracting value. It's not about creating value. What is that group is going to do? Do they create solar panels? No. Do they manufacture locally? No, they assemble something. Have they invested in R&D? $5 billion, $10 billion for the kind of project? No. So what are you doing? So when people say made in India and all that, it's all bogus. Everything is about lie. Everything is about propaganda. Everything is about promoting yourself. And in the process, you have forgotten people. That's my view. I'm sorry, but I feel very concerned about this.
And you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. So this may be a question for maybe for all three of you. So
Okay.
Samar is asking. Okay, we had a prime minister who had spine to say, "Don't talk to me about profit; it's a dirty word." As India's capital markets rapidly mature and globalize, do we rely on the U.S. regulator for serious investigations? So with that,
No,
I
they
think
have to do their job and we have to do our job. What's
I
the
just want to
problem?
make a point over here.
Yeah.
We used to say, very few people pay income tax in India. Very few people have their money in stocks and shares. And I remember a former president of India even saying, I'm sorry,
Please
a
take.
former president of the of the India, Mr. R. Venkatraman, he said these are not stocks and shares; these are shocks and snares. But be that as it may, you have to understand that the number of people whose money is there in India's stock markets have gone up fivefold. There were 2 crore before the COVID. Now it's gone up to almost 10 crores, and that is not this government is hell bent on privatizing everything. So whether it's your provident fund, whether it's your gratuity, whether it's your retirement benefits, all of this, some part of it is going into the stock markets. So today, India's stock markets are impacting more Indians than ever before. I'm stating this as a fact. So that's one part of it. Now, Mr. Gautam Adani, the way he has allegedly played the markets is a case study in itself. Several books can be written on the subject. But if you will allow me to make one more remark, and this is a
please.
personal remark, I had an open confrontation with Sam Pitroda on a NDTV television program when it was owned not by Adani but by Mr. Pranoy Roy, Dr. Pranoy Roy. And I said, Sam, you are representing the NRIs, and they are very comfortable. They pretend to be highly patriotic, but you're having leading a good life in Chicago. You were born in Orissa. You were not Sam Pitroda, but you were some other Pitroda. You were Satyen
Yes,
Gangaram
absolutely.
Pitroda. Be that as it may, I just want to say today that everything that Sam Pitroda has today said about the social media and what's happening in India and about democracy in the world, I agree 100% with him. That's all I want to say by way of a closing remark.
Thank you. Priyamada, maybe you can go with your last question and then we'll end the show. Sorry, Sam.
Uh,
Sorry, Paranjoy, for holding you guys long time. Go ahead. Miss Priyamada.
yeah, so I just have a question. Like, I just want to know, like, how strong are the U.S. laws? Because there is a narrative going on that when Trump assumes power, he will, Adani will be scot free. So how do you think he can influence the Adani case after he resumes, takes holds power? This is my question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Priyamvada, you should answer this question for us. You are in America.
No, I'm yeah. No,
On the 20th.
I want to ask someone from the US. I like Sam's or like.
Okay,
But
Uh,
he,
You know,
he, he
let
lives
me
in
try. Let
UK.
me try to answer that.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
So
ahead,
I
sir.
don't. I don't think this is with respect to Biden or Trump. I think it's more of an American interest in trying to send a message to Modi. I think I see this more as an attack on Modi too. I don't see it as an attack on Adani. I think it's more because as they're sort of campaigning, they're not both inseparable. Touching one man is like touching the other. So the U.S.
Sadik,
government is sending a message to Modi via Adani in this case is what I'm thinking, and I don't think Trump will change that till they extract what they want from Modi. So if
what is
if the Trump
what
has to slow down or get Adani get away with it, it means that Modi has to give something back to him, which the American government wants. If that happens, then yeah, it's possible. Yeah. Otherwise, I think
you,
even Trump will pursue this till he gets what he wants.
Yeah, no, the reason I asked is because Adani's lawyer has said that it's not necessary that an arrest warrant means he will be arrested. So that was my concern. Like he could say that. So and the narrative on the social media is like, he will go scot free.
look,
So
Yeah,
look,
everybody can
Priyamvada.
speculate. Everybody's speculating what Trump will do. He will do that and he will do this and all those things. But we'll only know when he comes and does that.
Priyamvada, listen to Sam Petroda and don't let the social media,
yeah.
get better of you. But this is the point I raised right in my opening remarks, and I'd really like Sadik to add to what he said. What happens when there's a new head of the Department of Justice, a new head of the Securities and Exchange Commission, a new chief of the Federal Bureau of Investigation? Now, will this process go in the same pace, or will it stop, or will there be some sort of a compromise in the form of plea bargaining? That is really, many of us are asking this question. And I think there was a very interesting cartoon that appeared where you see Mr. Modi and Mr. Adani at the doors of a place, and the guard saying, wait, the office opens on the 20th of January. You have to wait till then. So I don't know. Sometimes cartoonists, tell us what I mean, gives us a flavor of what the truth is all about.
I would
Good.
I
Go
would
ahead, member.
also like to add one. Yeah, I think it's Adani is India's problem, and we will sort it out here. And it's just incidental that we got some help from someplace else. So we have already approached our CBI, and the basic thing we should, as Indians, concentrate is that we have to identify and weed out from the opposition parties the agents of RSS and BJP who are actually controlling or hijacking the opposition. And that's the biggest challenge. Otherwise, we Indians are quite capable of handling our own problems. Adani and Modi ji is our problem. We'll sort it out. But that is why the strategy should be to identify the weaklings and the Trojan horses in Congress party first. Then we move on to various other political parties. We will teach them a lesson that Indians are not so powerless or so without resources to tackle our own problems. Thank you very much.
I think that's about it. So I think it was a very great, enlightening conversation from Paranjoy and Mahmood and Sadiq. So thanks a lot and for adding a lot of context. And hopefully the US government's indictment will get to some action. It should not lead to some small arms deal for American government and this case get into a plea deal or bargain and Adani go unpunished. So let us keep our fingers crossed and looking forward to interact with another panel and an interesting topic next week. Thanks a lot for everybody for finding time. Go ahead, Paranjoy. So Paranjoy, you are on mute, Paranjoy.
I want to make an appeal.
Please.
you must support. You must support people who are fighting the fascist regime. You must support. Without your support, it will not be easy. The road ahead is difficult. You know, we all of us were so enthused. We felt enthused that the BJP's number is down from 303 to 240. But see what's happened. Maharashtra, it's a decisive victory. See what happened in Haryana. Okay? The people of Uttar Pradesh taught a lesson to the present regime. But what about, and say even the people of Jharkhand? What about the rest of India? You know, it's India is a huge country, a big and diverse country. So we need your solidarity and your
Sure.
support.
In fact, Paranjoy has been doing a lot of great work. In fact, during Lok Sabha elections, one of the song he supported, I think I was literally kind of amazed by that song, and it became the playlist for a good many days. So I think he has been doing a lot of phenomenal work, supporting a lot of creators like that. So I have put the link of Paranjoy in the bottom. So please feel free to support Paranjoy, paranjoy.in. His number is also on the bottom. So feel free to support. There are a lot of great people doing great work. For example, he was named in the Hindenburg report. So the Hindenburg report, Adani have not challenged. They claimed that they are going to challenge. They have not challenged for 200 plus days. So Paranjoy was the only journalist who was part of that Hindenburg report, which created this whole momentum, questioning this powerful, richest man of India, who is running who is funding this whole BJP's mission. So let us see how we can continue support democracy institutions like that. Thanks a lot, Mahmood Prachar, Sadiq, Paranjoy. Thanks everybody. Thanks, Priyamata. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.